Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take your stack of sources and build a comprehensive understanding of what's really going on behind the scenes. Today, we are strapping ourselves into the back row of the runway for a deep, deep dive into one of television's most enduring and maybe most dramatic reality competitions, Project Runway.
That's right. Our listener has provided a fascinating stack of sources. It's a combination of dedicated fan critiques, insider behind-the-scenes accounts, and some really detailed analyses of the format's drastic evolution over 2 decades.
So what's our mission here?
Our mission today is to really extract the fundamental mechanics of the show. We need to figure out precisely how it shifted from prioritizing design excellence and the labor of fashion in its early years to what fans now describe as a drama-first format, designed for maximal conflict and, honestly, minimal construction.
It's the ultimate reality TV paradox, isn't it? I mean, this show introduced high fashion to middle America, turning designers into household names, but now the core tension is just... it's so palpable.
It really is.
Is Project Runway still about finding the next design visionary, or is it just chasing ratings through manufactured conflict and, as the sources call it, TikTokification?
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this and figure out where the integrity went and, more importantly, what the lasting consequences are for the designers and for us, the viewers.
Let's start by establishing that core tension. The sources draw a really clear line in the sand, separating the original Bravo-era show, what they call the Golden Era, from the current format.
Which fans call the bad timeline.
Bad timeline, exactly. And these aren't just, subtle differences. They represent 2 entirely different philosophies about what a reality competition should be.
The memory of that golden era seems almost universally positive among longtime viewers. They all recall that the focus was so firmly on the process of design.
Right.
What we saw was genuine scenes of people working, supporting one another, offering constructive feedback, and allowing the clothes to be the absolute center of attention, not just a backdrop for an argument.
And this emphasis on process, it meant respect for the craft. The show went to great lengths to show how difficult it is to create couture garments under pressure. We saw designers sketching, drafting patterns, and crucially, the judges were often seen examining the construction backstage, lifting the hem, checking the lining, looking for technical merit, not just surface glamour.
That validated all the hard work.
It did.
The setting also contributed so much to this feeling.
Yeah.
New York City wasn't just where they happened to be filming. It felt like a vital character in the show.
Oh, for sure. They took these inspirational field trips that felt so authentic, whether it was visiting historical landmarks or galleries. The city's creative atmosphere really informed the challenges.
Yeah, it contributed to a sense that the designers were part of a larger, real fashion world.
And what stands out here is that the older format succeeded because it respected the intelligence of the viewer. It invited us into the, meticulous work of fashion, allowing us to understand the difference between a properly set sleeve and something quickly glued together.
And the emotional beats felt earned. They were rooted in the genuine stress of execution, not some scripted conflict.
Exactly.
But then came the bad timeline, the current seasons. And they're described as feeling mean and cold, like a parody of the original show with no heart or compassion.
The consensus among these loyal fans is that the show has just devolved into surface trash, plagued by editing that is choppy and disjointed.
That sounds like a symptom of a larger production mandate, right? Not just a bad season.
It absolutely is a mandate, and it ties directly into this concept of TikTokification.
Okay, explain that.
It's a term that describes a complete paradigm shift, and it's driven by budget cuts and the production's belief about what engages a modern, fast-scrolling audience. Sources say that episodes are shorter now, dramatically condensing the time they can even show the design labor.
So we get no design process, barely any mood shopping compared to how it used to be.
Barely any.
Let's define TikTokification a little more clearly, though, because it's more than just being fast, right?
Right. It's an emphasis on reaction shots, on conflict sound bites, and aesthetic novelty over actual substance. The editing pace, as one source noted, is just relentless.
The camera doesn't stay still for more than 2 seconds.
Never. Which makes it incredibly difficult for the viewer to truly see the construction of the clothes on the runway, let alone appreciate the details.
The visual experience is sacrificed entirely for pacing. I mean, if you can't pause on the garment, you can't critique its technical failings.
Exactly. And producers believe this rapid pace is what younger audiences are used to and what they like, which is a belief that I think fundamentally underestimates the audience that tuned in for the craft in the first place.
And the consequence for the design quality is severe. It's often tragic. When designers are continually pushed through these non-stop one-day challenges, a strategy overwhelmingly attributed to cutting production days and saving money, the garments just suffer.
Immensely. And you see this reflected in the critiques, where designs are frequently labeled underwhelmed, bland, or resembling disposable fast fashion.
This is where that lack of technical time really hurts, isn't it?
Oh, it's everything. A tailor will tell you that quality construction inserting a lining, setting a precise sleeve, achieving a sharp collar is like 70% pressing. That takes time and patience.
And they don't have that.
They don't have it. In an 8-hour challenge, designers simply don't have the minutes to press properly, which leads to garments that look flat, raw, and hastily assembled.
You see raw edges, seems just fused with glue or quickly serged.
Yeah, and techniques that prioritize survival over perfection. This is precisely why the output mirrors cheap, poorly constructed fast fashion.
I can see why loyal viewers feel they're being underestimated. They point to these wildly successful, low-drama international formats as proof that you don't need constant bickering to capture an audience.
For sure. I mean, the enduring success of the Great British Baking Show or Great British Sewing Bee, it shows that supportive judging and a genuine focus on the craft are a winning formula.
It raises that fundamental question. Why did Project Runway choose conflict over craft? The loyal audience argues that the show should have evolved into something more like Making the Cut, focused on building a lasting commercial brand with sophisticated challenges, instead of, reducing the complexity of the design process for fleeting, consumable drama.
The shift from design school reality to high-octane spectacle has just alienated the very people who once valued seeing the labor of fashion.
It sounds like the show lost its emotional buffer when the format shifted toward this intense pressure and focus on speed. And without that fundamental support, the designers are thrown directly into a truly unforgiving environment. We need to talk about the man who embodied that lost support.
Absolutely. You cannot discuss the heart of the show without discussing Tim Gunn.
No way.
He is universally recognized as the show's heart, and his absence is seen as the primary reason why the modern era feels so dramatically cold. His role was never just to check on progress, it was to counsel and educate.
His appeal was so deeply rooted in his professional background. I mean, he wasn't just a TV personality, he was a classroom professor at Parsons in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, that history gave him a special knack for feedback. His style was nurturing, conversational, and enthusiastic-like, a highly informed mentor sharing something cool he just learned, rather than some authoritarian critic swooping in to deliver judgment.
He was a genuine teacher. He didn't just tell them what was wrong, he gave them the intellectual and technical tools to fix it. His advice always focused on the principles of design.
And that mentorship style produced those iconic, comforting catchphrases that define the show's spirit. Everyone remembers the frantic yet incredibly encouraging, "Make this work."
Yes. When a designer was just spiraling into chaos, that phrase was an acknowledgement of the difficulty, paired with a push for resilience.
And of course, the ever-polite thank you mood. After a shopping trip, it brought a certain civility to the high-pressure environment.
He internalized their stress, too. We know he showed genuine emotion, even getting visibly teary-eyed before every Fashion Week runway show. It reflected this deep, sort of parental pride in his students' success.
His eventual departure was, for fans, just heartbreaking and symbolic of the show's shift. The sources confirmed that when the show moved networks, Tim Gunn was not asked back.
Wow.
He was reportedly humiliated and devastated by the rejection, seeing it not as a natural career progression, but as a personal slight. This wasn't a graceful retirement. It was a rejection that removed the show's emotional and academic anchor.
And that paved the way for the mean and cold atmosphere.
It did.
So we move on to Christian Siriano, a highly successful designer, a former winner, now in that critical mentor role. The sources are careful to stress that it's unfair to compare them directly. One's a teacher, the other's a talented entity with an active, thriving brand. But the audience perception of his mentorship, especially in recent seasons, is really mixed.
Well, Christian is undoubtedly successful. He won season 4, he's built a massive, globally recognized brand, and sources acknowledge he has provided excellent advice in past seasons.
Right.
The difficulty, though, lies in how the modern show is edited. The criticism is that the production now leans so heavily into his snark and one-liners, often cutting the necessary constructive analysis to create a more confrontational moment.
I think the key difference is in the delivery. The perception is that he comes off as mean and rude rather than constructively challenging,
Yeah.
inserting himself and his successful aesthetic too much into the workroom.
Yeah, that specific example quoted in the sources, a phrase like, "Girl, are you really gonna do these tacky sleeveys?" It's entertaining, sure.
But it's dismissive. It's not instructive. It forces the designer to second-guess their taste rather than offering technical solutions or, pattern-making adjustments.
Yeah. That's the crux of the issue. Tim Gunn guided them to their best version of the challenge. Christian, by virtue of his success in his role, sometimes appears to guide them toward a Christian Siriano version of the challenge.
It creates a palpable power imbalance because he's not just a mentor, he's an executive.
Exactly.
But wait, isn't this show being forced to change? I mean, if the data truly shows younger viewers prefer that TikTokification, the snark, the fast-paced maybe Christian, as a successful contemporary working designer is simply more relevant than an academic like Tim Gunn,
That's a fair point.
can we really blame them for prioritizing survival and choosing a mentor who is currently charting the path to success?
That's an important challenge, and Christian's relevance is undeniable. He is a massive asset. But the critique is that the show is utilizing him poorly. A lot of viewers feel Christian would actually be better suited as a permanent judge,
Oh, interesting.
especially since the judging panel desperately needs a current successful designer to ground the critiques in modern reality.
And that ties into the executive layer. Christian is an executive producer on the show.
He is, and some sources speculate that this dual role is a way to compensate him for effectively doing two jobs, mentoring and producing, but it certainly changes the dynamics.
For sure. When he gives a critique, he's not just a sympathetic ear. He's part of the machinery enforcing the schedule and budget that the designers are suffering under.
Right.
That knowledge subtly shifts the power dynamic from teacher-student to boss-employee.
Precisely. And without Tim's emotional buffer and academic approach, the designers are thrown directly into what is, physically and psychologically, a true pressure cooker. The clock and the budget, they become the true antagonists now.
That's a great transition because understanding the production schedule is so critical to understanding why the quality has declined. The environment that designers inhabit is engineered chaos. Let's look at the grueling schedule they endure just to film one episode.
The intensity is nonstop, and the sources give us a really clear view of the timeline. Designers are up by 5:00 a.m. for what production calls morning reality, filming them, getting ready, giving sound bites, establishing the mood. And then they get the challenge, they sketch, travel to mood, and then they work nonstop in the workroom until 11:00 p.m. or even midnight.
And crucially, the only thing stopping them from working all night is mandatory intervention. The show enforces a mandatory minimum of 6 hours of sleep.
They have to, because if left to their own devices, the hyper-competitive designers would literally work themselves sick. They are managing a marathon that feels like a nonstop sprint.
We know the emotional and physical toll this takes. Behind-the-scenes accounts specifically cite Season 8 as a low point, where the combination of exhaustion, dehydration, and high interpersonal drama led to contestants needing ambulances.
Oh, wow.
The show is designed to break them down psychologically, knowing that exhaustion heightens emotional reactions and creates better reality television.
And a major factor in the poor design quality we discussed earlier is the proliferation of the one-day challenge, which has become standard in the bad timeline.
A one-day challenge typically equates to what, 8 to 10 hours of work time?
About that, yeah. And the reason for the increase? Money.
Of course.
It saves production a massive amount of money by cutting filming days, but the technical cost is catastrophic for the designers. They don't have the luxury of time to fix mistakes, to reseat a zipper, to restart a complicated pattern.
Or to pivot strategies when a fabric choice proves disastrous.
Exactly. If they run into problems with structure, that garment is going to look like bad clothes when it hits the runway, because a quick fix usually means sacrificing technical integrity.
Now, let's pivot to the center of this controlled chaos. Mood fabrics. That shopping segment is a masterpiece of reality TV tension because it's so high stakes and, surprisingly, highly authentic.
The mood segment operates under surprisingly stringent and largely non-negotiable rules. The store completely closes for Project Runway tapings, usually on a Sunday or Monday morning.
And that 30-minute countdown that Tim or Christian starts, that's real.
It is entirely real, and the clock doesn't stop for pleasantries or indecision. Everything the designers intend to use, fabric, notions, zippers, everything, must be paid for and cut before the time is up.
So if you're still scrambling at the cash register when the timer hits 0, you're just...
You are SOL, shit out of luck.
Wow.
Historically, that policy has been mercilessly enforced. And while Kenley Collins was once famously allowed to return for Forgotten Tool in an early season,
I remember that.
sources suggest that was a highly unusual concession. Production has since made it crystal clear that forgetting anything, even an essential lining or thread, is the designer's personal failure.
And the fiascos are inevitable because the budget constraints and the time pressure. The most common stress point is the budget overage, right?
For sure. Designers racing around with arms full of fabric sometimes go over budget by $100, $200. This forces a frantic, painful culling of essential materials right at the register.
So they have to ditch a lining or a crucial contrast fabric, which further compromises the quality of the final garment.
Right. But the most iconic shopping disaster, of course, involves Anya Ayung-chi in Season 9.
Oh, yes.
She lost her entire $300 cash budget inside the store. It was shown teetering out of her bra. Peak reality drama.
And she still won the challenge.
She won the challenge using only dyed muslin and funds quickly donated by another designer. It was a definitive make-it-work moment, a feat the mood owner himself cites as one of the store's most memorable.
That incident, though, while exciting television, it really underscores the volatility of the challenges. Anya's ability to win, despite this extreme oversight, later fueled the argument that her compelling personal narrative and aesthetic eye were prioritized over technical fundamentals.
She proved you didn't need the materials if you had the eye and the narrative momentum.
And we absolutely cannot forget the unsung hero of the chaos, who brings a rare moment of levity to the manic shopping experience. Swatch, the beloved Boston Terrier, who serves as the store's resident mascot.
He's often seen on camera, and his presence is this small, quiet tradition that even the hyper-stressed designers appreciate. He was reportedly Tim Gunn's favorite.
A gentle moment of normalcy.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on to the designer's true nightmare, unconventional challenges. These episodes are viewer favorites because of the sheer spectacle, but they are pure stress and sometimes physically hazardous for the contestants.
These challenges are the epitome of trashin', forcing designers to source materials from bizarre locations, candy stores, hardware stores, pet shops, carnival games.
And since conventional sewing is often impossible, this usually involves heavy use of hot glue, which leads to frequent burns and frustrating construction failures.
It forces creativity, but often at the expense of technical skill.
We have some truly infamous examples in the show's history. The Season 9 Pet Store Challenge was reportedly the smelliest challenge episode ever.
And it yielded mostly similar, quick-to-assemble shift dresses constructed from strange animal bedding.
The Hardware Store Challenge in Season 7 resulted in a truly minimal garment, a swimsuit made of nothing but hanging string and metal washers.
Which provided virtually no coverage and was judged extremely harshly. And then the Candy Challenge in Season 10 gave us the unforgettable rigatoni Mad Max look.
A term coined by Michael Kors that perfectly captures the spirit of controlled chaos.
A phrase that should never exist outside of a reality challenge, but it works perfectly.
The All-Stars Balls Challenge from Season 6 provides a perfect deep dive into the technical debate around these challenges.
It does. Stanley Hudson won with a chic, sophisticated look created largely by hot gluing the plastic balls to a muslin base. This prompted Helen Castillo, who had struggled to throw shade on the runway, arguing that Stanley's assembly method wasn't fashion.
And that moment is so crucial because it highlights the fundamental tension of the unconventional challenge. Is the goal to create a beautiful design under pressure or to prove complex textile creation?
Right. And the judges awarded the win to Stanley because, despite the simple construction method, the hot glue, his design concept and execution were superior. Meanwhile, Candace was eliminated because the deflated materials she used resulted in a disastrous, saggy butt look.
So the materials can betray you.
Completely.
Whether it's the pressure cooker of the schedule or the absurdity of unconventional materials, the environment is intentionally high stress. And that stress doesn't just produce interesting clothing, it produces interpersonal conflict.
Which is the cornerstone of the show's reality TV identity. As much as the show is about fashion, it is a reality TV competition first, and the workroom is intentionally a pressure cooker designed to extract drama.
And production expertly crafts narratives, often leaning heavily into the villain archetype to drive ratings.
The original blueprint for this was Wendy Pepper in Season 1. The sources suggest that Wendy was highly strategic. She studied Survivor and realized she needed a memorable narrative, a defined role, to survive.
Her meltdown over her daughter's photo, which was allegedly manipulated by Kevin, was peak drama and guaranteed her camera time.
And her strategy worked. She stayed until the finale, despite her collections often being criticized as ugly or dated. Her longevity confirmed the producer's priority: conflict sells.
Then came Santino Rice in season 2.
An all-timer.
Regarded as one of the greatest reality villains ever. Santino played the role with entertaining chaos and high humor. He was iconic for his quips like, "Don't these bitches know I'm better than them?"
And his running jokes about taking Tim and Andre to Red Lobster, and, yes, his terrible creations like his ugly German lingerie and the infamous fire chicken ice skating outfit.
He was entertaining, even when his clothes were terrible.
But the drama took a darker turn in season 3 with Jeffrey Sibilia. He became the replacement villain after the show's original planned antagonist was disqualified. Jeffrey gained notoriety for verbally attacking Angela's mother during a challenge, a moment that crossed a line into appalling personal cruelty.
And that confirmed that production would embrace genuine toxicity if it guaranteed a dramatic arc.
Yeah.
He still won the season, which many fans consider a major injustice.
This tendency toward conflict is why team challenges are so universally disliked by viewers and designers alike. They are a reliable source of drama, but they're technically unfair.
In season 8, Ivy Higa and Gretchen Jones formed a tag team villain duo, creating a toxic environment where they would throw everyone under the bus, particularly during the disastrous Grandpa shirt challenge.
Yeah, the drama just eclipsed the fashion.
And the ultimate season killer, in the eyes of many, was season 11, which mandated a full-season team format.
Oh, that was rough. Viewers loathed it because talented designers, people with potential, were constantly dragged down by weaker partners or internal conflict. It just ruined the season's technical flow.
The other sign that the design community inherently understands and forces the high stakes is the disqualification phenomenon. The first was Keith Michael in season 3.
Right. He was removed for possessing unauthorized pattern books and accessing the internet and emailing producers. This was a massive scandal that confirmed that designers police each other's adherence to the rules.
That ban on pattern books and the internet is such a crucial part of the show's premise, isn't it? It forces inspiration and knowledge to come purely from the challenge itself.
It does, and what's remarkable is how similar the next major DQ was. 13 seasons later, Claire Budendorp was disqualified for a similar rule, violation possessing measurement charts and pattern materials.
It just reiterates that production and the competing designers take the ban on outside influence incredibly seriously. It underscores the artificial difficulty of the competition.
This intense focus on rules, conflict, and spectacle brings us directly to the judging panel, which is the final arbiter of these controversial decisions.
And while judges often claim full autonomy, the sources reveal the crucial insider detail that producers do have a significant say in judging outcomes.
That producer influence isn't some secret conspiracy. It's confirmed by disclaimers that appeared in the closing credits of early seasons and still exist today, often in tiny, fast-scrolling font superimposed over the runway footage.
And the disclaimer clearly notes that judges consider input from the producers and Bravo, or whatever the network is, in reaching their decisions.
Which is necessary because production needs to ensure the story tracks. If the best designer had a boring personality and the show had spent weeks building a massive villain narrative,
that disclaimer gives them the flexibility to ensure the episode's dramatic payoff matches the setup.
Exactly. And when the original host, Heidi Klum, was also an executive producer, that further blurred the line between objective judgment and production interest.
The evolution of the critique style has also fundamentally changed the show's tone. We look back at Michael Kors's era, known for linguistic brutality and sharp, witty zingers. His critiques, however harsh, were highly visual and metaphorical, referencing the clothing itself. He's the one who gave us classics like describing a dress as looking like seaweed that has come out of the swamp.
Or rigatoni Mad Max. They were brutal, but they were targeted at the garment.
Contrast that with the current controversy surrounding Law Roach, who is far more polarizing. He's been accused by viewers of bullying, verbal abuse, and creating a hostile power imbalance where designers can't effectively defend their work.
Yeah, fans note that Law's delivery is often seen as deeply personal, while Zach Posen, a former judge, might have delivered similarly harsh technical critiques.
Right.
He did so without the confrontational power dynamic that Law often projects. Law's attitude, sometimes characterized by viewers as "don't talk back to me or I'll vote you off," alienates viewers who feel he is prioritizing catty quips over constructive feedback.
The critical tension here is that what was once a contestant's choice to be dramatic is now baked into the critique structure itself.
hmm Regardless of the judge, the show is infamous for its biggest injustices. Outcomes fans universally believe were engineered by production over merit. This is where the tension between talent and narrative explodes.
The first major snub was Austin Scarlett's Season 1 elimination. Austin was eliminated just before the finale in favor of the established antagonist, Wendy Pepper.
And Austin's work was superior. We're talking his famous cornhusk dress and the beautiful Grammys gown he created. Sources agree this was a calculated, production-driven move to ensure the villain made it to the final stage for maximum viewer engagement.
The most controversial finale of all time, however, has to be Season 8, Gretchen Jones winning over Mondo Guerra.
Oh, that was a big one. Mondo's collection was widely viewed as revolutionary. His bold use of color blocking and graphic prints defined a generation of design aesthetic.
And Gretchen's, by contrast, was called boring and derivative. The fan outrage was immense.
So immense that many consider Project Runway All-Star Season 1 to have been an official apology tour for Mondo, which he did, in fact, win.
Which kind of confirms the show tacitly acknowledged the initial injustice.
It does. And then there's the Season 9 win of Anya Young-chi. Despite receiving a highly dramatic edit, losing her budget, struggling with construction, she still lacked basic construction skills.
She was famously making the same maxi dress over and over.
And she was accused of being a producer-sponsored win because of her strong eye for prints and compelling personal narrative, which overcame her technical deficits.
The show is also notorious for its rule fluidity, particularly surrounding the Tim Gunn save and other interventions.
While Tim's initial save in Season 12 was accepted as a powerful tool to protect a deserving designer, his subsequent intervention to help Char Glover in Season 13 was heavily scrutinized.
Right. During a Real Woman challenge, Char had a major zipper failure, and Tim, who acknowledged he had a soft spot for Char, kind of guilted the other designers into giving her extra time to fix the garment after time had expired.
That was seen as an unfair violation of the established competition rules, fueled by Tim's acknowledged bias toward an okay designer.
In this instance, coupled with other decisions, like Jarrell Scott's elimination in Season 5, which was attributed to a sudden rule change designed to keep Kenley Collins in the running.
It just confirms that the rules of the competition are flexible when production has a vested interest in a designer's longevity or the drama they provide.
To truly wrap our heads around this controlled chaos, we need to dive even deeper into the temporal distortion and the filming secrets that manipulate the timeline for broadcast.
The reality of the schedule, particularly the challenge reveal, is far different from the fresh start viewers see. The challenge is typically filmed immediately after the previous runway show.
Immediately after.
Sometimes around 1:00 a.m. after the designers have already completed an extremely long, emotionally draining day of critique and elimination.
Are you kidding? 1 in the morning. So they're revealing a major challenge when these people are already completely burnt out.
This sequence is then edited to appear as a fresh start the next morning when everyone is fresh and ready, which is so far from the reality. The exhaustion is intentional fuel for the drama.
And a key tool in crafting that dramatic arc is the confessional interview, right?
Right. These are not done in real time in the workroom, but in clusters every few days, often long after the emotional events being discussed have concluded.
Which allows producers to steer the narrative, ask highly leading questions, and essentially script the villain archetype effectively, retrospectively shaping the emotional reality to fit the predetermined storyline.
Speaking of the workroom, there are logistics that maximize their efficiency, even under immense pressure. Designers have access to a large off-camera accessory wall stocked with shelves of accessories, shoes, and belts.
This ensures they have maximum options for styling their looks, rather than being strictly limited to what they can hastily bring in their luggage. It ensures the final look is polished, even if the garment itself is rushed.
And crucially, to maintain a level playing field and ensure all inspiration comes only from the show's challenges, designers are banned from using the internet, phones, TV, or newspapers.
The production team goes to great lengths to shield them from any outside influence.
They do. Behind-the-scenes accounts revealed they even waited until after a challenge concluded to tell the designers about major world events, like when Michael Jackson passed away during Season 6 filming.
Wow. That level of isolation really heightens the pressure and ensures the purity of the competitive bubble.
It does.
Finally, let's talk about one of the most interesting secrets of the fashion competition show circuit, the decoy collections.
This is pure operational theater. The show invests significant time, money, and labor into having eliminated designers create full collections for Fashion Week.
Solely to prevent spoilers.
Solely. If only the 3 or 4 true finalists showed collections, attendees, and the press would instantly know the final results before the broadcast aired.
So the decoy collections, like Austin Scarlett's famous Season 1 collection, which was superior to the actual winners, are necessary logistical measures to maintain secrecy and control the viewing experience.
Right, until the final episode airs months later.
That dedication to secrecy, investing thousands of dollars in collections that will never truly compete, perfectly encapsulates the dichotomy of this show.
It does. If we connect all these threads, the show's incredible longevity stems from its masterful ability to leverage the high-stakes creative process, the chaos at Mood, the sheer difficulty of the unconventional materials, the exhaustion.
And all of that is alongside a carefully crafted, often manipulative, template of interpersonal drama.
They understand that stress breeds spectacle.
Precisely. However, the show has, especially in recent seasons, visibly struggled to balance the genuine need for design excellence with the perceived network mandate for high drama and pictockification. They often sacrifice the focus on construction and technical skill for quick, consumable conflict, and the quality of the output has suffered demonstrably as a result. The data shows that the most successful seasons were driven by undeniable talent, where the winner was accepted by the fan base as the best designer.
Not simply the best character. The show needs to ask itself if the short-term gains of fast, confrontational editing are worth the long-term cost of alienating the sophisticated audience that initially tuned in to appreciate the craft.
Which raises our final provocative thought for you. If the modern format continues to prioritize personal attacks, Christian's snarky quips, and cliffhanger eliminations, can it truly ever produce another Christian Siriano who won on genuine revolutionary talent, or will it ultimately lose the loyal audience that once valued the actual labor of fashion? What stands out to you about the reality of the runway?